Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from AstroLada.com, and we continue with the 2026 Astrology Marathon with top and amazing astrologers from around the world who are contributing for your knowledge towards 2026. Today, my guest is astrologer Jaymie from America. Hello, Jaymie.
Hi, everyone.
And she has a beautiful topic. She's talking about the best thing for each of the 12 signs, specifically the risings, but you can apply it for your sun and moon sign as secondary. And you can find out your sun, moon, and ascendant signs if you go to a birth chart calculator for free. Just check the sun sign, the ascendant, the moon with this video to see what to look forward to, the best things that are coming in 2026 for us. Such an uplifting topic. Enough of doom and gloom. Thank you so much, Jaymie, for choosing such a beautiful topic. And Jaymie is also offering a beautiful discount on all our viewers. If you like a really profound way of doing astrology, very insightful every time. She shocks me, even with specific predictions, deep psychological realizations that she brings. She's very innovative, very inspired. For me, this is like inspiration, divinely connected to spot such things. You can have a personal reading with her, or you can also, she's offering counseling, couching with astrology, because she's also a life coach, not couching, coaching. Like a few sessions coaching. I'll put the link below to her services if you'd like to connect personally with her. Till the end of this month, these discounts and offerings of Jaymie are available. So, Jaymie, you have the word.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Lada. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm going to be talking about the focus is going to be on the best thing for every rising sign, or like Lada said, a rising sun or moon to be focusing on for 2026. This is going to be your blueprint. And like Lada mentioned, a lot of my stuff is psychologically inclined with practical recommendations on how you can use the energy. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on. And I have to switch it up because I get bored easily. So I'm going to be talking about each rise. I'm going to be talking about the rising signs, or I'm going to be ordering it based on the elements. So I'll first talk about the fire signs, then earth, air, and then water.
Perfect. That's very good combination.
So, starting with Aries rising. So, everyone, we're going to be, for 2026, we're going to be having the remainder of Jupiter continuing to be exalted and blessing us in Cancer for the first half of the year. And so, this is for Aries risings, it's going to be squaring your ascendant. So, this could be a great time to really focus on healing any conflict around family, stabilize any tension that you have in order to feel at home around things related to prosperity. Maybe find ways to create more spaciousness and abundance in your home, create a spiritual sanctuary, a practice. This can also be a beautiful time to focus on family, karmic, ancestral healing, because you do have Saturn and Neptune on your ascendant. And this is very karmic. Saturn's a karmic planet. Neptune is about healing. This is also tied to your previous incarnations as well. And Jupiter is also about healing in the family sign, in the family house and stuff. This could be a time to do family constellation or IFS if you want to take more of a conventional, more 3D approach to things. One thing I do want to mention, because I know IFS is really a popular form of psychology, it's a
What
way
is that
to
called? IF.
internal family systems. And so it's great because like a lot of times, for example, people will like want to like learn about their attachment styles to not be so anxious or avoidant in relationships. And that's beautiful. But sometimes it's helpful to get to the root of it because there are different versions, different parts of us. And so IFS, what it does is that it kind of like connects us to all the different parts of us, our inner child, our adult child, our professional, our work version of us, the romantic version of us. And then it helps to fuse a unity between all of them. Because I think sometimes people get some form of healing, which is great, but they're still trying to heal from like this unhealed space and stuff. So IFS does go a little deeper. But one thing I do want to mention is that people who do have a history of schizophrenia or sort of those indicators in the chart, it's not necessarily good because it does work with separate components and creating a cohesiveness. And with people who have schizophrenia where there's disassociation, it's not necessarily like, it does depend, obviously, like do your research, but it's something that I think not enough people know about. And so I did want to mention that because I do think that it's really important. But it's just a great time to sort of work with that, like that tension energy. And so all of the Mercury retrogrades are gonna be in the water signs, starting with Pisces at the end of February. This is going to be taking place in your 12th house, which is about previous incarnation. So that ties in with what I mentioned about Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And so I'm going to start off a little esoteric here. But this can be also a really good time for people who do some soul retrieval work. Basically, through trauma and stuff, we can separate from different parts of our souls. This could happen in previous incarnation, or they exist in different dimensions and stuff like that. This is a great time where you can do these things, especially if you've done this work before. You can start during the retrograde, or you can do it even before the retrograde, so that once the retrograde happens, you're sort of continuing this journey.
Yeah, there's a lot of memories that pop up that you forgot on Mercury retrograde in the
Yeah.
12th. I'm not speaking necessarily past lifetimes, but something that like a really,
Subconscious
yeah,
mind.
that comes to the surface. And you're like, wow, okay.
Absolutely. And that's where, especially with like Neptune, the ruler of the 12th house on your ascendant, it's literally like, it's not just things that are coming out, but it's like you might feel it in your body too, and spiritual experiences. So definitely be paying attention to that.
Lots of
And
crying, lots of crying. Your
hey,
body expressing the suppressed memories.
maybe that's something that you're going to be experiencing, or your siblings. Aries sun. Yeah. You have to come back and let us know how it goes.
Oh no, but like Jupiter in the fourth house, what you said, we've expanded, we got another property, we're decorating it now. It's just so Jupiter in the fourth, and I improved my relationship with my parents so much. Uh,
Oh,
it started with a crisis, and then a lot of realization why they're upset with me, and I corrected some of those things, and it's flowing so much better. I'm like, I go, Mommy, when can I come to stay with you for a night? And Daddy, I feel like a little baby. They're nurturing me. I go there with my daughter. They cook for me. We talk. We don't fight. So great reconnection with parents happening and healing of ancestral wounds. That's how I'm feeling. Sorry, I'm not going to interrupt you anymore, but this was so spot
no,
on.
I love that you're talking. Plus, people get mad when you don't talk anyways. We want to hear what you have to say. Um, but yes. So, like Lada mentioned, because we've had Jupiter in Cancer for a while, this is something that you're experiencing. So it's something that you can just continue to experience. And Mercury rules connections, and the 12th house and Pisces is about the soul. Saturn is about forging, solidifying, building, and Neptune is your soul. And this is why I'm saying that this can be a great time for those of you who do resonate with doing soul retrievals. Like, it's not going to be for everyone because it's a little bit more esoteric, but it's something that I don't think a lot of people talk about. So I wanted to share that. And
Sometimes it happens spontaneously as well.
yeah,
During such transit, so much like Jupiter still in water, working on the soul, on the family, healing traumas, Mercury retrograde in the 12th. It can happen like we just went through Scorpio season now, November, and a lot of those things happen as well because there was all planets in water for us fire signs. So sometimes even without going to a psychologist or a specialist, it can happen spontaneously through your dream life, the 12th house, through
yeah.
some realizations, through some deep introspection, or just something clicking emotionally, and you think from a different perspective and releasing something from the past. Sometimes it's a subconscious process, but if you're doing it consciously, even bigger results can happen, especially February, March for you when Mercury is retrograde there.
Exactly. And I was actually experiencing that with when like Jupiter when Uranus was peeking into Gemini, it's in my 12th house, and I had like these spontaneous like soul retrieval. I was actually doing a border run, and so I was actually in a van, and I just started realizing, because I've done soul retrieval work before, and I was like, oh my God, it's happening. I feel it. because I have Venus trining my Chiron, and actually you were one of the people who mentioned that I can do my own healing, and I've had spirit guides and like psychics and energy healers when I've hired them to do this. They were like, they refunded me my money, and they were like, my guides are telling me that you're supposed to do this yourself, even though that's really rare. And then when you told me about my Venus trining Chiron, and you were like, oh, you can do this yourself, I was like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. So yeah, definitely spontaneous like soul retrieval stuff happening. It's great. Um, so yeah. And speaking of Uranus, ingressing into Gemini at the end of April, this is like very much a supercharged nervous system activation, but it's going to be sextiling your ascendant. So this is a really good time to observe your physical body. And like I talked about a little bit more about this in the first video that I did with Alada on the best way for each rising sign to process their traumas. So I do recommend that you check that out. For that one, if I'm talking about any zodiac sign, if that zodiac sign is on your ascendant, your eighth house, or your moon, that is something that you can like explore to see if it works well for you. And so this is a little bit generalized, so I'm not going to be able to be too specific, but something that you can look at when you're observing like the state of your nervous system to determine if you're oversensitized or maybe you're disassociated is observing how you're moving your upper body versus your lower body. Because generally, people who have an oversensitized nervous system, they might show more of that in their hands, which is like your nervous system, Gemini and stuff. Whereas Aquarius is your nervous system and it's your lower legs. So these are people who, when they disassociate, might like do certain positioning with their legs, which I talk about in the video, when they're going to sleep, when they're like the blanket is over them, like Aquarius rules Saturn, it's very hidden, so this can be a time where you can kind of like get a sense of like, is your nervous system more visible and exposed, or do you conceal it and stuff? And so this can be a way to just kind of start to look at this and explore ways to regulate your nervous system. And you're going to have more support with the sextile. And we've been having Pluto in Aquarius for a while, so you do want to continue to work with this energy. But during the retrograde in the beginning of May, you're going to have more of this like nervous system stuff just kind of like popping up, because Pluto is about transformation, psychological stuff. Aquarius is about the nervous system. So Pluto can create transformations and reversals when it comes to Aquarius things such as your nervous system, your increased financial gains, losses, and rebirths through friendships. Pluto rules your eighth house of traumas, and it's one of the signs that rules your nervous system as well. So this is to say that processing traumas can transform all of these different things, and you can use this energy. Some great ways to do this is through support groups, online community resources that can be really beneficial. And sometimes like you can kind of look to see what's happening around you to see like the impact that it's having in your life. And so the universe might reward you with better quality friends, increased wealth, and these are things that you can look out for. You don't have to wait until the retrograde, but you can go deeper in doing this work. And if you start doing this before the retrograde, you can kind of start to see sort of these influences during the retrograde be a little bit deeper. So this is something that I'm really interested to see how people, Aries risings, are going to use this energy. And then, like I mentioned, so we for the second half of the year, we're going to have Jupiter ingressing into Leo. And during this time, there is going to be a little bit of there's going to be an opposition with Pluto and Aquarius. I should probably mention, like I didn't mention in the beginning of the video, but similar to Lada, when I give aspects, they're going to be more by houses, not the specific degrees. Just so you guys know, so they might be like wider or tighter depending on what I'm talking about, but the energy is still there. And so with Jupiter ingressing into Leo, this is going to also be sextiling your ascendant. So you're going to have a lot of support And before, Jupiter was exalted, but it had some challenging aspects because of the square. And with Jupiter, but like with Jupiter going into a fire sign in Leo, it does well because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. It does well in fire signs. So this can be a great time with it being in the fifth house, doing inner child healing. Jupiter rules your 12th house of healing. It's in your fifth house of children and playing and stuff. I had a client that had a lot of debilitating anxiety, and she has like a really pronounced fifth house. So I recommended to her that she create a fun, safe environment for herself, and she that's like very playful. And because her chart did show that she things were a lot easier for her when she was younger, and she loves Disneyland. So I recommended that she create like a Disneyland themed home, her work environment where Disneyland inspired clothes in her car, so that she can kind of be in that mindset. Some other things to do is also working on your spine, doing chiropractic work. Leo rules the spine. It's one of the many things that rule the spine, but it can also be like yoga that's spinal focused, Yengar, Ashtanga. Yeah, I know. Now we're all just kind of like, don't mind us. We're realizing we need to work on our bodies when we do these stuff. So that's something that you can work on. And then you're going to be experiencing Mercury retrograding in Cancer around like at the same time. And this is about your physical body. So working on your physical body and like healing your physical body through this chiropractic care that I've mentioned. These are things that are going to be really beneficial. And if you've been wanting to get back into exercise, doing stuff that really does help with your spine, yoga specifically with Yengar and Ashtanga is really good with this. Then at the end of the year, Venus is going to be retrograding in Scorpio at the beginning of October. And this is a time where you can get really clear about like what are your resources? How do you support yourself? What do you have to offer? And how can you use these resources to heal yourself? Because oftentimes people don't like Venus in Scorpio because it's in the opposite sign. But Venus rules your second house of your resources in Scorpio, which is very transformative. It's your eighth house of other people's resources, but it's your resources that's now coming in. So you can use your resources to heal. This is a way to be really empowered. And particularly wherever you have Taurus in your chart, the energy moves the slowest. It's a little bit slower. So when it's in Scorpio, I feel like it's a great opportunity, especially in the eighth house. Like shit is just going to start fucking moving. So you can really work with that energy. And so this is a great time to build up your resources, these 12th house things like your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth. Things can come up when it comes to stuff like this. And there's something that I want to mention, and this is going to be pretty niche. And so I want to be sensitive about it because, and if this is something that you're dealing with, like definitely go see a specialist. But if you have any food attachments related to addictions or trauma and stuff, this can be a time to explore this because Mercury rules your health and daily routines, which is also going to be here in your eighth house of Scorpio with Venus. So
It
this
will
could be a
also be
time.
retrograde there, won't it? Around the autumn, October, November, they both. So there's a lot of inner
Exactly.
healing of intense attachments because Scorpio is like, releasing you from intense attachments, purging, kind of re-examining.
And I don't know who needs to hear this, but when I was taking notes, that came to me. So I was like, okay, I want to share that for whoever needs to hear that. Um, and so yeah, like you mentioned, like literally, at the end of October, Mercury is going to be retrograding into Scorpio. And 2 days later, Venus is going to be retrograding into Libra. So there's a lot of this energy going on in that area of your life. So whatever trauma you're working through, Mercury will support you as it's retrograding in this sort of space. And this is a time where you can do journaling, reading, studying psychology, spiritual healing around what triggers you and stuff. And then when Venus goes into retrograde into Libra, you can start thinking about how you can integrate all of this information within yourself to experience more harmony. So before it might be about like the triggers and like shit coming up. And then when it goes into Libra, think about, okay, what Like, what will bring me harmony? What would feel good for me? And kind of focus on that. And if you want some insights, some of the things that you can do is think about what qualities do Libras have that you admire and how can you incorporate them and use your own resources. Venus is going to be in rulership in Libra here. So it's something that you can do, but you can also recruit the support of another person if this resonates with you. I feel like, were you going to say something?
I know I'm enjoying. I don't want to interrupt your flow.
But no, if you have thoughts, definitely share them because I want to hear what you have to say too. Um, so that's for Aries rising, and for Leo risings, same thing. We're gonna have Jupiter blessing, continuing to bless us in Cancer for the first half of 2026, and then the energy is gonna move into the next sign. It's gonna go into your ascendant. So you go from the 12th house to the first house. So there's a lot of like this flushing out of hidden information just kind of coming through you. And while Jupiter is in Cancer, I recommend that you connect with the Jupiter from like a Piscean sort of way, using sleep hypnosis, meditation, spirit guides, working with your subconscious, unconscious mind, connecting with those areas, using creativity, previous incarnation stuff. And then when Jupiter goes into Leo, use the energy of Sagittarius because the first house is a fire sign, Leo is a fire sign. Jupiter rules both Sagittarius and Pisces. So you want to work with the energy because Pisces is home to the 12th house, the water house, Cancer, the water sign. So working with this energy is going to be just, it's going to flow a little bit more. But while Jupiter is in Cancer still, this is the time where you can continue to prepare your body and your subconscious mind to get comfortable with prosperity, expansion, use prayers, set intentions, receive support from the spirit realm, maybe write some stuff down and put it under your bed, previous incarnation work, listening to meditations on prosperity, letting go of family traumas, particularly areas where with the Jupiter and 12th house Cancer themes that you have challenges around. By doing meditation, by listening to meditation when you're sleeping, your mind can be more receptive.
I
With
have a story. Being a Leo moon, Jupiter's been in my 12th for a few months now. I started listening to solfeggio frequencies.
yeah.
Immediately they changed my mind. Immediately they changed my state of mind. I started listening to subliminal messages on YouTube for free. Mine
Mhm.
was for stop using nicotine because I don't smoke, but I use nicotine like gums and stuff. I'm like,
Vaping.
I
Oh, okay.
want to, and vape sometimes. I was like, I
Yeah.
want to be done with that. I listened for a month and that's it. It stopped. I'm like free 1 month, more anxious than normal, but wow, it worked. So Leos, those things till July, use them subconscious, subliminal, past life regressions. They're all free on YouTube, or it's like you can start at visualizing meditations. And when I have a problem now, I wanted to intuitively solve it. So someone
Mhm.
upsets me. So I think about the problem. How should I deal with this person? And I stay quiet. It's again 12th house. Stay quiet and receptive and listen. And a thought pops up, and that's how I deal with problems now, situations that upset me. I give it 5 minutes, I ask the question, and I try not to get distracted, just what pops in my head. And by the end of 3, 4 minutes, I have an answer. Kind of like a feeling, like a hunch, like an idea, but so 12th house, so incredible. And Jupiter in Cancer is so powerful. It's its favorite sign. So the results are incredible if Leo does anything with the subconscious, with intimate alone time, with meditation, with hypnosis, all of this amazing results. So sorry, go back.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't even think about the intuitive part of asking questions, but it's like the wisdom is coming out. So yeah, and like the teachings, the seeing things from a higher perspective.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's great for research because my mind is in such a research mode now with Jupiter in the 12th from the moon
Oh
that
yeah.
every day I go down the rabbit hole to research. And I'm like, I don't want to have to logically think for every answer. My mind misleads me. Pros, cons. So I'm like, is there a way? So I research, and anthroposophical says this is called intuitive decision making or intuitive. And I'm like, how do I
Yeah.
do this? very simple exercises and just the spiritual research is incredible and psychological research. A lot of eureka moments, a lot of deep realizations that are happening.
And I would actually say that during this time, oh, actually, that's going to be my notes are already here on that. But with I'm going to talk about personal goals, which Jupiter rules. And so I'll tie that in with where it's at right now, and when it shifts into your ascendant. But before I do that, when Jupiter goes into Leo, Jupiter rules your fifth house where you have Sagittarius. So this is the time to express what inspires you and to get creative with your goal, with your personal goals. I think it's so interesting because we live in a world of content pollution. There's a lot of information that's really like useful, but it's only useful if it applies to you. And that's why I really love astrology, because we can look at charts as astrologers and be like, this is the thing that's going to help you because of these specific aspects, these situations, whatever the case may be. So there's mixed things where people say, don't tell people about your personal goals because you're less likely to achieve them. And this is more common, I've noticed, with neurodivergence, because you get the dopamine hit and your brain thinks, oh, I already did it. And so there's that. But there's also something to be said where success requires community. We're biologically social creatures. And this is why there is this whole movement of like very short-lived solo entrepreneurs. It's not sustainable. So it does depend on your specific chart. But for Leo risings, when Jupiter is in your 12th house, personal goals is in your 12th house, this is about connecting with yourself, learning to feel comfortable with your personal goals, feeling into the energy of Cancer of like what you need to do in order to feel comfortable and ready to get started on these goals and stuff, and letting it form it privately. And then when Jupiter goes into your first house, this is going to be the time to express your goals. And something that you can do is tweak your goals a little bit whenever the sun moves into a new sign, because your sun is your chart ruler. And when it comes to setting your goals, that's Jupiter, but it's also your sixth house of your daily routines. Saturn is the planet of consistency, but so is the sun. And the sun, I would say, well, I mean, with Leos, you can use both, because Saturn does rule your sixth house, but the sun is a lot more fun, and it kind of gets you going. And Leo, your fire sign, like you're here to do new things and keep yourself entertained. So tweak your goals a little bit and work with the energy of the new sign that it's in. Every time the sun goes into a new sign, this is going to be something that can be really helpful. So for example, when the sun is in Aquarius, when it comes to how you like achieve your goals, collaborate with others, with friends, join online communities. Whereas if it's in Virgo, connect with your goals to manage your resources, your health, make things more productive and efficient, because that's the energy of Virgo and it's in your second house. So you can kind of work with those themes there. And then when it comes to goals, Saturn and Neptune is in your ninth house of your personal goals in Aries. So I do recommend that you start with personal goals that inspire you, make it creative and fun. Then look at your Saturn houses, which is your sixth and your seventh house, because you want to start with your Leo energy first, because it starts with you, your first house. And then systemize and automate your personal goals by baking them into your daily routines and collaborate with others. That way you use that energy of not like depleting your dopamine and creating accountability and having that social structure and that community that helps people to succeed. And I do want to say that before kicking off and executing your personal goals from the ninth house with Saturn and Neptune, think about your daily routines and working with others. Because if you try to materialize things and you're finding that things are dissolving, it's probably Neptune dissolving it, because you need to correct something with the energy of Saturn. And so you can use the energy of like prayers, expand your growth mindset, because that's the ninth house energy. Come correct, pray, and then take action. Oftentimes, and I see this a lot with fire signs, I see this with Aries, or I'm sorry, Leo risings, because you have Capricorn in your sixth house. There's like this habitual desire and need to want to succeed. And when it doesn't work, they just try to power through, power through, power through. But people forget that as Leos, you're a lion. Lions, yes, they have a lot of energy and they are fire signs, but they spend more days resting because hunting takes a lot of energy out of them. So Leos should actually be doing a lot less than you guys probably are. A lot of Leos just overextend their energy because we're not actually hunting and stuff. Talking to you and your Leo moon, probably, Lada. You just have this look like, oh shit. So
Oh
yeah.
no, I sleep a lot. I rest a lot. I've learned how to please my Leo moon.
Oh,
So
good. Indulgent.
I
Yeah.
have a lot of rituals. Saturn rules the sixth house around my
Mm.
routines. And like if I work hard one week, next week I'm not gonna do anything. So
Yeah, that's strategic. That's smart. In human design, you're a projector too, right?
yeah, I don't have consistent, yeah, push.
Yeah. So yes, that's going to be something that does help you. It's one of those things where I see Leo rising get really frustrated, and it's like it's not forming, especially with this Saturn Neptune conjunction that we've been having. It's like things are dissolving because you need to correct something. You need to tweak it. And the answer isn't to go harder. You want to work with the energy of Saturn and Neptune. So that's something to work on. And
So
then
you say like ask help from others. Saturn is the ruler of the seventh house, and prioritize your routines as
collaborate.
well.
Yeah.
Like put order in your daily life. If your big goals are not materializing, are not happening as you envision, like correct something in your daily routine, ask for help, or bounce ideas with another person, partner with another. That's how you can uh,
Yeah.
fulfill those goals of Saturn that wants in the ninth this year. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Perfect.
So you're gonna have your first Mercury retrograde in your eighth house of traumas at the end of February. And so this is the time to let go of creative fears, do inner child healing, fear of specifically like it might be things like fear of expression, resistance around receiving support. These are some areas that can be really beneficial to focus on. Float therapy can be a wonderful way to work with this energy. And then when Uranus ingresses into Gemini at the end of February, this is where Pluto in Aquarius is going to be.
End of April.
Oh yes. Oh, what did I say? Yeah, I have April 26th. Thank you. You meant to have the video off, right?
Yes. I'll switch on in a bit.
But I'm glad you're listening. Thanks
My
for
back
correcting.
is hurting. I need to lie down a bit.
Oh.
And I'm listening.
So, this is the time where, again, Uranus rules the nervous system, Gemini rules the nervous system, Aquarius rules the nervous system. And so, this is very much a nervous system regulation theme going on. And layering on medical astrology, this can be a great time to do a heavy metal detox because Pluto is about heavy metals in the sign of your nervous system. So, this is one of the ways that you can take a look at this. Maria, the medical astrology doctor, and we did a free video. It's on Lada's channel. You're welcome to check that out where we talk about this a little bit more deeply. This is a good way to use this energy. And once Pluto retrogrades into Aquarius at the beginning of May, there's going to be reruns. And because we're having this placement already, but some things that you can work on are ways that you've made money with business partners and clients, or these are things that you can sort of build up right now so that when Pluto retrogrades in Aquarius, it's kind of like an automated sort of a situation. And let's see here. There can also be potentially, because Aquarius is in your seventh house, issues with your home, with your spouse. Pluto rules your fourth house of home. So these are things that might kind of kick up. And I don't want to like it's hard to say without looking at your chart, but depending on what is going on in your chart, like the whatever issues, whatever problems, psychological issues that are taking place in your relationships and related to your family and your home environment, the retrograde is going to really kick it up. And so something that you can do is work on it beforehand so that when it retrogrades, it's not going to be sort of like this exaggerated, like dumping of like all the things that could have got that were neglected that's important to work on. And then you're going to have Mercury retrograding in Cancer Um, and this is also when Jupiter is going to be going into Leo as well. And so this is where in the beginning you had the Jupiter in your 12th house with all of this knowledge that Lada had talked about. And now you have Mercury, which is about knowledge and info here. And so this is the time to plan intuitive routines that feel safe for you. Lada already gave some examples on what that looks like. So these are some things that you can reflect on, but also just be mindful that because this is happening in your 12th house, you may slow down because when it comes to your routines, because that's what Mercury rules, and it's in the lazy 12th house. And then with Saturn and Neptune and Aries also slowing you down as well. Instead of forcing things, allow things to unfold naturally. And honestly, the recommendations that Lotta gave I think are really good. I would go with that. And then when Venus is retrograding in Scorpio at the beginning of October, this is the time where I recommend that you get clear on your focusing on your core values, your self-worth, and things that support you in your fourth house of home, because this is where the retrograde is happening. I emphasize this a lot, and I feel like it's really undervalued because it doesn't sound as fun, but core values is so absolutely important. And a lot of times it's said in a really boring sort of a way, but a really efficient way to really get clear on what your core values are is think about the shit that viscerally pisses you off. What makes you livid? Because that's an indicator that your core values aren't being met. When you get mad about something, what made you mad? What happened? And more importantly, what didn't happen? Because usually the opposite is your core value. And you got mad because your core value wasn't met, which is the opposite of your core values. So, for example, like accountability is one of my core values. And if someone isn't accountable, I get really pissed. And there's this like internalized rage. I don't lash it out anymore, but it's still in me. And so that's how you can kind of tell the difference between things that bother you versus your core values, which are your non-negotiables. And this is the time to really get clear and build that emotional foundation, that stability to really be like, these are my core values. It's uncompromising, and learn to feel comfortable with it and work on your self-worth, because it can be difficult when like it's something that doesn't come to you naturally. And Venus and Scorpio, especially with this retrograde, it's going to be a time where you can really work on these things, get clear on what your emotional needs are, what you foundationally need, and surround yourself in environments that support your core values. Think about what do you need to do in order to have that sense of self-worth. It's different for everyone. Explore what that looks like for you. And then Venus is going to be retrograding into Libra at the end of October, but 2 days before that, Mercury is going to be retrograding into Scorpio. So you've got sort of like this dance going on between Scorpio. And so at first, when Venus was in Scorpio, this is about feeling into things. And then once Mercury is retrograding in Scorpio, this is the time now to be more cerebral and logical. Plan and learn things in ways where you can implement your core values, strengthen your self-worth, like take the action or incorporate it into your daily routines. And then when Venus is retrograding Leo, this is going to be in rulership, and this is going to be taking place in your third house. Surround yourself with people that mutually support you and reflect on what these interactions are. Make sure that in your daily routine that there is an even energy exchange. And if you work from home, think of ways that you've made money before and market it in a psychologically compelling way. And then pretty much the things that I've recommended that you work on in, oh wait, sorry. Never mind. So they're separate notes. So that's the information for Leo risings. And for the last fire sign, the wisest and mutable fire sign, Sagittarius, this is an excellent year for you to heal. For the first half of the year, Jupiter is still exalted in Cancer in your eighth house. So, and Jupiter is about you, it's your chart ruler, and it's about your personal goals. So you can layer this on in different ways, physically, psychologically, things related to your personal goals. On a physical level, this can be a great time to detox your liver, work on your lymphatic system, process essentially trapped traumas in your physical body because you have your chart ruler, which is about your physical body, in your eighth house. On a psychological level, work on your higher mind, which is Jupiter, by exploring ways to process your traumas, the things that have been keeping you stuck. You can go to the ocean, mountain, maybe somewhere physically higher where you're able to see things from a different perspective. This can be a great time to do somatic healing, water therapy healing, including float therapy, family constellations, IFS. This is internal family system, and it's a really great psychological modality. But I do want to say that I caution anyone who has a history of schizophrenia because it does work with separate components of yourself. So people who do have disassociation, talk to a specialist before you get into that because there can be some contraindications there. Now, when it comes to your personal goals, with this planet being in your eighth house of traumas, feel into what feels safe, what feels scary when it comes to your personal goals. What are some things where maybe your traumas are affecting your ability and the ways that you set your goals, achieve your goals, stay connected and committed to your goals? Take the time to prepare and integrate your personal goals into your physical body. Learn to feel comfortable. And this is something that is going to be important for you because Cancer needs to feel safe. This is the time to stay quiet and private about your goals. And then when Jupiter goes into Leo in your ninth house, you can be more expressive, but you do want to be intentional and selective because Leo is VIP energy. This is why they rule celebrities. So this is a great time to work on your goals by working with astrologers, coaches, or an astrology coach, mentors. And I am offering a service that you can check out that Lada did mention at the beginning of this video, where you can receive astrological support and guidance around your personal goals. This is essentially to say that this is a really good time to invest your time, effort, energy into higher education, higher pursuits, spiritual practices with mentors that are going to benefit you. And in the beginning of the year, Saturn and Neptune are going to be going into your fifth house energy. And what's interesting about this is that usually when I teach astrology to my students, I describe Aries as the fuck around, find out energy, because this is where you can take risks, where you can be bold. But I always say where Saturn is, this is the don't fuck around, don't find out part of your chart. You want to come correct. You want to do things properly, ethically, by the book, because that's what Saturn is about. And the planets always overpower the zodiac signs that they're in. So Saturn and Neptune kind of like hold back that like impulsive energy of Aries. And so this is about like Aries generally is impulsive and they do things for the sake of having experiences, and this is how they learn. But with two slower planets, it's inviting you to slow down. Saturn's asking you to be responsible, mature, wise, honest, and ethical. Things are things that are out of alignment for you, they can start to create blocks and delays, and Neptune can dissolve what's not serving you. So if you find that this area of your life is frustrating you, it's probably because things aren't working out because they're not meant to. Saturn and Neptune are karmic planets, and it's in your fifth house, which is in the faded part of the side of your chart. With romance, this is the energy that it's in. or the way that you express yourself, or if you have your own business. These are areas where you want to make sure that you do things correctly, responsibly, strategically, and be sure to implement security-oriented systems in place. And be sure to not skip steps. And these are the things that can lead to financial fluctuations in a way that's beneficial, because Neptune rules financial fluctuations, which can move in either direction, because it's the higher octave of Venus, but it is having a good aspect. So this is something where you want to work on things. So obviously you're getting increased financial gains. And during the first half of the year, Saturn and Neptune is going to be squaring Jupiter in Cancer. So there could be challenges around expressing yourself triggered by your traumas. There's going to be a wide orb here. So, but just a little bit of a heads up. And with Pluto in your third house, Aquarius, sextiling Saturn and Neptune in your fifth house, what can support you is your Pluto in your third house. Both of the third house and the fifth house, they're both about communication. And so there might be some things that come up where there's chronic fears around self-expression, feeling vulnerable and stuff. These are things that might come up. So working with Pluto, your planet of transformation, psychological healing, and reversals in your third house related to your early experiences, your mindset, what you say, what you think, your narrative that's influencing you based on your early upbringing. These are things that you can shift, because it's in the sign of Aquarius, which also rules reversals. Pluto is about reversals. So there's a lot of sort of like this energy that's able to shift around. But you want to be mindful in your daily environment, things related to your friends, who you talk to on a daily basis. Think about who are the people in your life that trauma trigger you, who are the people in your life who trauma heal you. Because this is the time to purge the bullshit out of your life and bring in the stuff that's more empowering. The people in your environment, they either support or they trigger your nervous system. Aquarius rules your nervous system. So by letting go of people who don't serve you, you're giving yourself the opportunity to invite in new people in your life that help to support your optimal nervous system flow, as well as increasing your wealth and shifting the way that you think in a more empowering way. Now, we're also talking about pleasures here. So incorporate things that you enjoy, the people and conversations that and you may find that the people and conversations you had that you used to find helpful, they may start to dissolve when basically what used to serve you may not, and those are things that may dissolve. And let go of these types of people in favor for and look for and connect to people who are more mature, responsible, honest, reliable, consistent, spiritual, generous, intuitive. They can be action-oriented entrepreneurs, where the type of conversations that you have are more elevated. They're innovative, eclectic, inclusive, empowering, diverse. They can be more revolutionary. This is the higher manifestation of this placement and what you can look forward to. And then Mercury is going to be retrograding in your fourth house, Pisces. And at the end of February, this is going to be the first retrograde. And so this is going to be the ruler of this Mercury retrograde is Jupiter, and it's trining and it's going to be trining from your eighth house. So you have water signs, water house energy going on. And so this is an excellent time to process family traumas, because it's connected to your fourth house of family. This is healing. It's about letting go, working on forgiveness, releasing the trapped trauma in your physical body, which is where Cancer is. So it's through you want to work through you want to work through some of these methods using sort of that energy. And when Uranus goes into Gemini in the springtime, this is double nervous system energy that's opposing you. So it's important to really learn to regulate your nervous system. Those of you who natally have Uranus on your ascendant, this can be triggered by another person, potentially your spouse, business partners, or clients. These are things that can come up. It's important to work through them. Without looking at your chart, it's hard to know exactly what to work on, but this can be something to really keep an eye out for. And with Pluto in your third house, Aquarius, trining your Uranus and Gemini, and Aquarius, it's about your nervous system. So oftentimes I emphasize nervous system regulation, and I separate it from mindset work because mindset work is important, but sometimes I find that it gets over prioritized and our mind is up here and it's a part of our body. But if you're just working with your mindset up here and you're not working with the rest of your nervous system, it can create disassociation from your body, and it's not necessarily the most integrative approach. But with this but with these aspects, doing mindset work can really be beneficial to layer on ways to support your nervous system. Something that you can try doing is scripting. This is about saying things to shift your mental beliefs, but do it in a way that's believable for you. That's going to be the biggest thing. I think now things have changed a lot from like the generic basic bitch affirmations that people were recommending, and now people are becoming a little bit more custom. It does have to be believable for you. But these are things that you can use because Aquarius is an air sign. You, so you want to use your words. You can also look into support groups as well. And these are going to be things that you can explore more deeply when Pluto starts retrograding into your third house, Aquarius, with things that I've mentioned. And then in the summer, Jupiter is going to be ingressing into your ninth house, Leo, and opposing your Pluto retrograde during this time. But Jupiter is going to be trining your ascendant, so you're going to have luck here. Jupiter is in a lucky house, and it's it's your sign. There's a lot of luck going on here, but you do have this challenging energy with Pluto. But this is where like you'll have more strength, confidence, ability to see things from a higher perspective. It can be a great time to work with a coach or an astrologer or mentor, someone that can really support you. But specifically any like unprocessed traumas from your mindset, your narrative that you adopted in your early childhood, friends in your daily environment that you talk to on a day-to-day basis, especially like if they oppose or create challenges to your confidence, like these friendships may potentially end, or this is something to basically kind of work through. What's important is to surround yourself with people that really do help you. It's not like you have to have just these type of friends, but the people who help you with like your personal goals, elevate your confidence, these are the people that are going to be really beneficial for you. But Pluto pretty much is going to do a purge in this area of your life. And with all of this nervous system activation, there are psychological mind fucks or people that are dysregulating your nervous system. This is where Pluto could come in and cause death and destruction. And in order to allow new things to be born and grow in this area of your life. So if things end, let it, because it's meant to. This is also an excellent time to focus on your personal goals and see what childhood beliefs and narratives, trauma that have been triggered by your nervous system, what's getting in the way, and really explore how you can work through these things. It's going to be a great time to do these things. And then in around the same time, Mercury is going to be retrograding in Cancer as Jupiter goes into Leo. And so Mercury in your 8th house of Cancer, it's going to be 12 houses away from your 9th house. So this is additional energy that can stir up mental and psychological traumas that are important to let go of in your physical body, and it's time to sort of clear the trauma narrative. Think about what would the healed version of you think and say differently. With Pluto in your third house of self-made wealth, this is more of like a collaborative energy, and like the time to let go of trying to do everything yourself, because your north node is going to be going into Aquarius and your south node is going to go into Leo. I do apologize, I'm not going to be talking about the nodes too much because I was looking at my notes and it's going to take too long, but this is something that I did include in there, so I wanted to just mention it briefly. But this is where you might lose and gain new friends that are more in favor for people who are more collaborative, diverse, open-minded, supportive, innovative, revolutionary, and they psychologically shift your mindset in and your daily environment and your interactions with them. They can be very elevating. The people that you talk to and how you talk to yourself, these are areas that can be transformed. And then at the end of the year, Venus is going to be retrograding in Scorpio at the beginning of October and connecting with Mercury here in your 12th house. So this might be a bit of a challenging time because Mars, the ruler of this retrograde, will be in your 9th house with Leo squaring your 12th house. So this is where unprocessed traumas might affect your confidence, your sense of self-worth, but it can also motivate you to take action by using this energy. Scorpio is a resilient sign. Venus is also going to be squaring Pluto in your 3rd house. So internally, you may feel triggered, and what can help you are inspirational teachers, spirituality, astrologers, coaches, using this energy and transmuting it to work on your personal goals. Mars is in 2 degrees, which is also the degree of Taurus, and Venus rules Taurus. So it's hard to say. Depending on the rest of your chart, you may feel confused, or you may be able to access hidden information and experience the catharsis by accessing sort of this hidden knowledge that you might not otherwise be able to connect with. But Mars and Pluto's placement, it's going to give you clues about what's being hidden and what you can look to. But I encourage you to explore your childhood beliefs and narratives in support groups with friends, join online psychology workshops, take creative, inspired action, pursue personal goals, and try to see things from a higher perspective and look and observe what comes up. Because you may find that your daily routines and habits kind of fall apart because Venus is the ruler of your 6th house and it's retrograding. And then it's also weakened and like power, it's in your 12th house, which does have a dissolving quality to it. So this is the time to be strategic with your daily goals and automate things, but also reflect on what you most resist, because this can be due to unprocessed traumas, feeling unworthy, and there can be fears that are holding you back. This is a great time to look at that. And then at the end of October, Mercury's going to be retrograding into Scorpio. And 2 days later, Venus is going to be retrograding into Libra. Now, you can try to mentally and intuitively feel into Venus retrograde in your 12th house Scorpio. Like, these are things where you can be thinking about, like, consider what thoughts are coming up for you, especially around the ideas of success, your professional status, your spouse, business partners, and clients. This is because Mercury rules your 7th and your 10th house. Think about how you can magnetize resources from these areas of your life. With Venus retrograding in your 11th house, this is a lucky house. So the month before, Venus was opposing your 6th house of habits, where Venus ruled Tauruses, and now it's in your 11th house. So Venus is in rulership here, or it's going to be in rulership once it retrogrades into Libra, and she's going to be sextiling. There's going to be a sextile with Mars, so it'll be easier for you to take intuitive, inspired action with the support of your friends. This is the time where you can work on increasing your wealth through your own creative brilliance, your knowledge, your confidence, charisma, teaching. And this is a time where your audience can be more receptive. And then at the end of the year, Jupiter is going to be retrograding in your ninth house in Libra. So you're going to be swimming in the energy of a Jupiter in your ninth house for, let's see, I'm going to be working with this energy. No, I'm sorry. We're not going to cover that. That's too much to get into, but that finishes the fire signs. And now I'm going to be talking about the earth sign. How are you doing, Lada?
Great, I'm listening.
I hope you feel better. Feel free to come back on when you're ready. I miss talking to you.
Oh, well, it's just gonna be like 3-4 hours long. You're covering so much. It's
No, I
awesome.
did this and I'm like, oh my God,
No,
what was
it's
I?
great. No, just be those detailed people love that. So carry on.
So now we're talking about the earth signs, starting with Taurus rising, where most of your planets, as far as like Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, they're going to be taking place in the free will part of your chart, which are the 10th through the third house. Starting off with Jupiter still in Cancer in your third house of self-made wealth. It is going to be squaring Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house. So, but it's going to be, so you've got this initiating Aries energy hiding in your 12th house, which can make it a little difficult for Taurus risings to take action, especially with the influences of Saturn and Neptune. But there's an opportunity to correct, strategize, structure, automate, and create passive ways for things to get done. This is also the time to correct any negative beliefs, feelings of helplessness, and you might experience some confusion around what's holding you back. So pay attention to your Jupiter in your third house here for clues. This is also a great time to practice somatic wisdom, body connection, how things relate to your thoughts, your feelings. What have you learned at an early age? And how are these things influencing your subconscious and unconscious mind? This is a great time to sort of like work through those things, considering like what beliefs do you have around success, higher education, how have your parents influenced you? And I say this because Saturn rules your ninth house of your higher education and 10th house of professional success. But when you combine ancient and modern astrology, the ninth and 10th house is related to your father. And your third house, where you have your Jupiter, also rules your father. So it's also a sign of family here as well. And then you're going to be experiencing your first Mercury retrograde in Pisces in the end of February in your 11th house. And all of these are going to be happening in your air houses, so they're going to be connected to other people. With this retrograde being ruled by Jupiter, and it's like there's a trine in your third house Cancer, so there's lots of money themed related stuff going on here. Saturn, let's see here. With Mercury, which is about your routines and your vocation, in your 11th house of your increased financial wealth with Pisces, this is also about the past. So go back to ways that you've made money the way you have before, especially things that are passive and automated in nature. This is a way that you can sort of work with this energy, use prayers, ask for spiritual guidance, and explore ways to increase your wealth using the energy of Pisces. We're talking creativity, listening to music, being in isolation, and connecting to spirituality. I know someone who has like these waterproof note taking sheets of paper and like a pencil in her shower, which I thought was really interesting, and it made me think of this for those of you who might natally have like Mercury and Pisces, or even during this transit, you may find some source of inspiration during this time that could be something that you can include. And then you're gonna have Uranus ingressing into Gemini at the end of April. And it'll be approaching Venus in your second house. So there's lots of money activity going on here. Venus rules your second house. Let's see. Venus rules
Their sign.
huh?
Their sign.
Yes, sorry. So this is the time to explore like the ways to be innovative with your existing money and attracting money through online resources. Think about what you've been doing that hasn't been working. These things can potentially fall apart. Uranus can go in there and just kind of like abolish those things. But there's a difference between things externally falling apart related to your versus a triggered nervous system. So this is something that you do want to kind of explore. Especially when, yeah, that's something that can be a good thing for you to look at. That can definitely come up. And with Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house, Aries, sextiling Uranus and Venus in your second house, Gemini, this could be hidden blocks and vulnerabilities with taking actions due to fears that can come up that trigger your nervous system. So this is where optimizing your nervous system flow can be really supported right now. When it comes to Saturn and Taurus placements, I find that they tend to do well with EFT. It's emotional freedom technique. This is where you do tapping on specific acupressure points, and it can help you to move through stuck energy. Because Saturn is a repetition, and so is Taurus. And because Saturn is in your 12th house of healing with Aries, which is about your face, you can tap around your face, processing vulnerabilities, specifically around taking action in a gentle way using the energy of Neptune. And let's see. When it comes to EFTs, though, it's something that you should look into more. But a lot of the common narratives that they, or like the script that they recommend is doing taps where you're like, even though I'm afraid of fill in the blank, I still truly and deeply love myself. I don't think that this is actually going to work for you guys, just because Aries is a rebellious sign, Gemini is neurodivergent. So I do recommend that you use your own words, and it can be ugly, primal, chaotic, whatever comes out of you, but focusing on topics around money, ways that you want to leverage your existing resources, ideas on how to increase it, the narratives that come up, especially things that you might have inherited from your family, are going to be really good topics that you can tap around. And then at the beginning of May, Pluto's going to be retrograding into your 10th house, Aries. So you've been working with this energy for a while in the house of your professional success, and it's sextiling Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house and trining your Uranus in your second house, Gemini. So this is where Pluto can come to demolish what doesn't serve you so that you can restructure from scratch instead of wasting time building something that no longer serves you. You do have good aspects here, so I'm happy about that. But if you've been spending your time working on psychological and strategic aspects in your business, creating an online presence, positioning yourself, and surrounding yourself in large groups, this is where you can reap some of the benefits. And it can bring you financial resources from clients and business partners. So focusing on these connections, and just in general right now, and then especially when Pluto is retrograding, is a great way to use this energy. And then when Jupiter during the second half of the year ingresses into Leo, this is the time to ground and root yourself, to strengthen your foundation so your professional life can flourish. Particularly this is great for people who have their own business, or you want to build your business, because this is going to be opposing your Pluto and Aquarius. So many people try to build a successful business on a rocky foundation and then wonder, like, why is this shit not fucking working? And the thing is, in order to have a professionally successful business, you have to build that foundation. You have to have this confidence. That's the energy of Leo. So But it's not about being confident just for the sake of it. It has to make sense. And with Jupiter here, think about confidence that's based on higher knowledge, being educate yourself, strengthen your self-belief in yourself, develop this desire to grow and execute from a place of wisdom by having this foundational understanding, getting clear on what your goals are, and creating consistency through the energy of Leo, doing things that are creative and fun. This is a time to think about what do you ask yourself, like, what do you believe in? Is it true? Really, like, use that knowledge. Think, and one of the things that I found someone told me that I thought was really useful is someone said, if something is true, is that truth helpful? Think about what beliefs you have and do they benefit you? Think about how you can build confidence around your beliefs, your personal goals. Think about how you feel when you're achieving them. And think of ways that you can consistently maintain a discipline and commitment around your personal goals using creativity, doing things that inspire you, things that are fun. And with Mars and Uranus in your second house, Gemini, this is Gemini sextiling and supporting your Jupiter. Again, this is about optimizing your nervous system in order to stabilize yourself. And then Mercury is going to be retrograding into Cancer around the same at this time as well. And this is a time where you can reflect on what you've been working on with Jupiter and Cancer. This is the time to look at your thoughts, what you say to yourself, and think about like what do you do to nourish yourself, like your around your mindset, emotionally, psychologically, physically. Think about who are you talking to, who are you surrounding yourself with on a daily basis. With Cancer being the first water sign, sometimes they can be a little bit selfish and they might like spiral and stuff. And like when people are struggling, it's really difficult to be able to um why am I mentioning this? Sorry. It's an unfair expectation, but it can distort reality. But this is the time to kind of think about your beliefs. Like sometimes where we have Cancer in our chart, we may experience more overwhelm. And this is an area, these are things that can potentially come up. And this is where your psychological downfall, your subconscious and your unconscious beliefs, your vulnerability, your chronic thinking, these are things that can come up with Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house squaring this Mercury retrograde. This is why I was mentioning that sometimes, or this can be kind of a challenging energy that takes place. And this is where a lot of times sometimes when you're struggling and you're drowning, it's difficult to be there for others. So this is a theme that can kind of come up for you, and working through this so that you aren't overwhelmed, which makes it difficult for you to be there for other people, but also to make it easier for you to be able to kind of connect with yourself and manage things. This is going to be a great time to work through this. Float therapy can be something that can benefit you. And then at the end of the year, Venus will be retrograding Scorpio at the beginning of October. And for Taurus risings, you guys are going to be, this can be really life-changing for you because your chart ruler is going to be retrograding and opposing you in your opposite sign. So this is where really working on your self-esteem can be really important. And these are these are things that can be very triggering for you. And let's see. These are things that you do want to work on. And something that I've noticed is that as someone whose words of affirmation is one of my love languages, I can tell how love deprived some people are because I'm so expressive in sharing things that are really supportive. And sometimes people can get very uncomfortable when they're not used to having that sort of like support. So this is sort of the energy that I was thinking of when I was taking notes for this. And for people who are Taurus rising, especially if you have like a challenged Venus, and especially with Venus in the sign of traumas, this may be to sort of be the time where you can really sort of like get comfortable learning about how to learn to feel comfortable receiving support. Like oftentimes when we have traumas, we have this fear around accepting this. And so this is a time where you can work through this so that you can learn to be more receptive to these sorts of things. And I do recommend there's a book called Healing Pluto Problems that you can check out where you can do some integrative shadow work. This can also be a time where you can do parasite cleanses and heavy metal detoxes as well. Maria and I did do a free video on this that you're welcome to check out. And this is also a good way to prepare for Venus retrograding into Libra in your 6th house. With Venus in rulership in Libra, and this is being in your 6th house of your daily routines, this is about the best way for you to manage your health as well. And so these are just looking at like, what are some things that you can do to tweak things? How can you create more harmony in your daily routines and stuff? This can also be a time to work on your energy levels and your adrenal glands. And let's see here. This can also be a time to prioritize healthy pleasures because your physical body and your health house are ruled by the same planet. So these two things are closely tied together. So really think about how you can bring more balance and harmony into your life through really taking care of yourself. Now let's move on to Virgo rising. You're going to be starting off the year continuing to reap the benefits of Jupiter exalted in your Cancer in your 11th house of increased wealth. It's also about your friends, your online presence, and the legacy that you want to leave behind. This is a good time to be around supportive women, mothers, or nurturing friends, connecting with an online community that feels like home. And this is the time to really seek out emotional, nurturing friendships that are highly with people who are knowledgeable, wise teachers, travelers, people who calm your anxiety. They can improve your health and help you to appreciate yourself and help you to develop some problem-solving skills. And let's see here. Now, Saturn in Neptune, you're going to have Saturn and Neptune in your 8th house, Aries at the beginning of the year, and this is going to be squaring Jupiter here. And so there are going to be themes coming up, and some of the ways that you can kind of like work with this energy is to really connect with friends who are generous with you, and you guys combine your shared resources and support because you do have independent Aries here, and it's not so. This isn't just about. It's not just about other people providing support from you, but this is about creating sort of this ecosystem, essentially. And this is the time where Saturn is going to demand accountability, responsibility, taking corrective action. And Neptune is going to bring you support from the spiritual realm. And so these are things that you do want to take a look at. There could potentially, with this challenging aspect, there can be a potential for financial limitation. Let's see here. Sorry, you guys. Saturn is going to really encourage you to be accountable, responsible, take corrective actions and stuff. And if you don't do that, there can be some limits to financial resources. And this is where looking at your trauma and looking at where you're getting stuck can really help you. Think about what actions you're not taking, what keeps dissolving with the energy of Neptune. maybe look at where you feel most helpless, where you might potentially be playing the victim. I don't like saying that, I'm sorry. But like where you feel this is like the time to remember the truth, the wisdom that you're actually not a victim. It's more like a reawakening of realizing that this is like kind of letting go of that illusion of Neptune, those lies, and making corrections with the energy of Saturn, essentially. And surrounding yourself with friends and maybe even women that are older, responsible, teachers that are spiritual, that are action oriented, that can help you through some of this stuff. And then Mercury is going to be retrograding in Pisces. This will be opposing you, but this is a great time to turn your challenges into assets because your chart ruler is in your seventh house of other people. And Mercury also rules your 10th house of ideals. So think about the beliefs, the daily interactions with others, that you have with others, your thoughts, and any potential feelings of helplessness that have kept you from really like materializing the successful life that you desire. Think about how you can let these things go. This is a really good way to use the Mercury retrograde here. And while Uranus, let's see, and then Uranus in Gemini, it's gonna be sextiling your no,
Square in the 10th house.
yes. I realize I wrote some mistakes on my notes here. Well, Uranus is still in Gemini. No, that's Taurus sextiling the retrograde. Yes. So it is moving away from each other, but this is the time where you can work with these energy. It's a time to see things from a higher perspective, and you can use the energy of your five senses to explore ways to feel safe. Because Virgo risings, especially, you have a tendency to, or there's a predisposition to escape from the overwhelm by channeling the energy of Pisces. But when Virgos feel safe, grounded, productive, and you become a master at solving problems, there's less of this need to escape into the energy of Pisces. So this is a good time to work with this energy during the retrograde. And then with Mars in your sixth house, Aquarius, this is 12 houses away from your Mercury retrograde. So Mars can motivate your daily routines and habits to really work with the energy of Mercury in your seventh house, to embody and integrate certain things that you may have been resisting. And with Pluto in your sixth house, Aries, sextiling Saturn and Neptune in your eighth house, Aries, like you can transform your daily habits and how you manage your problems. This is a great time to heal your traumas. And then when Uranus goes into Gemini at the end of April in your 10th house of professional success, it's going to be sextiling Saturn and Neptune in your eighth house of traumas in Aries. This is a great time to do somatic body movements and doing things that are a little bit more like shaking your body or doing gentle body strokes or lymphatic massages. You can kind of like choose, like some people are going to do better with doing something a little bit more active. If you find that doing something a little bit more gentler is better for you, you can explore lymphatic massages. And Pluto is going to be retrograding into Aquarius in May. And this is a time where you're going to continue to work with this energy, but your health can be heavily influenced by your psychological thoughts, your daily environment, and how healthy you are or not can potentially come up. And this is really important for Virgos because you're ruled by the sign of health. And you're here to be productive. And so the more you work in a practical and beneficial way that's psychologically advantageous, the more your health is going to improve and the more you're going to be able to magnetize resources from others, which is the energy of Pluto. So work on strengthening your psychological mindset, engage in daily routines that support you, that improve your health, so that when Jupiter goes into Leo and opposes you, you'll be able to integrate with the energies better. And you're going to be experiencing this when at the second part of 2026, when Jupiter goes into Leo, and this is where your third house ruler Pluto will be in your sixth house Aquarius. Your sixth house ruler Uranus is going to be in your 10th house Gemini. So your mindset is fueled by your daily routines, and your daily routines are going to influence your professional success. And then Jupiter, which is about your self-beliefs in your 12th house of your subconscious, unconscious mind, going to oppose your sixth house and motivate your ascendant. So these things are all working together. But one thing I do want to caution you on is be careful that you aren't hemorrhaging money or getting drained by family, spouses, business partners, or clients. This is the time to create boundaries. This is going to be something that's really important. And this is something that you can be working on before the just continue to work on this energy so that like by the time you have these placements, you'll be able to see the efforts that you put in. Mercury is going to also be retrograding in Cancer during this time. And this is when Jupiter is going to be hiding in your 12th house. And the ruler of your 12th house, your sun, is in Cancer, where you're going to have your retrograde. So whatever you're processing on a subconscious and unconscious level in your 12th house can be revealed in your 11th house area of your life, which is your increased wealth, online community, and your friends. So during this retrograde, this is a time to evaluate your circle of friends, who you spend time with, and think about the ways that they support you, don't support you. What is your mindset around them? Things of that nature. For me personally, I've created a standard. I refuse to be friends with people who consistently have shitty Mercury retrogrades because because that tells me that you're not learning something. And so this is one of the standards that I have, but you have to decide what works well for you. Since Mercury is going to be retrograding in your friendship house, these you do want to evaluate your friendships and really explore, like, are these friendships nourishing me? Are these really taking the time to intentionally surround yourself with people where these are friends where they support the legacy that you want to leave behind. You're trying to do things bigger than yourself. These are things that can be really beneficial. Connecting with friends that feel like family. And ask yourself, are these people in your life, your friends, are they comforting you or are they triggering you? Do they have a healing quality, or do you tend to retreat around them? Like, does your Cancer just kind of want to hide when you're around them? These are some questions that you can really ask yourself. There could potentially be endings of friendships that no longer serve you, but that's going to just bring in energy that is ultimately going to benefit you. And then in October, Venus is going to be retrograding in Scorpio at the beginning of the month. So during your first Mercury retrograde, which is happening in your 7th house, there could have potentially been a partnership that that ended. And sorry. My God, I took so many notes. I'm like, I want to finish at some point. Thank you so much for your patience, everyone, and for your patience, Lada.
Do you want to take a break a little bit? You've been going on hard. We can pause the recording.
Can we? Thank
Yeah.
you.
Go.
Okay, and so for Virgo risings, you're going to be having Jupiter in your 12th house. So you're going to have the planet of blessing in your 12th house. It's in rulership here. And Leo is a really lucky sign. So this is a lot of support from the spiritual realm, really connecting with your personal beliefs, praying about your personal goals, really thinking about your self beliefs, thinking about things related to your higher mind. This is something that Lada talked about at the beginning of the video, where she was talking about how she's really been using the energy of Jupiter in the 12th house, of seeing things from a higher perspective, really reflecting, studying, doing some higher education, studying spiritual subjects in the 12th house of Leo, specifically things about your confidence, learning from teachers, if you have your own business, creativity, infusing inner child work with your spirituality is a great way to work on past lives, trauma, healing, psychological, subconscious, detriments, things that have been holding you back, so that you can really start to materialize the blessings and the prosperity that Jupiter has to offer. And for Capricorn risings, you're going to be starting off the year with Jupiter in your 7th house. And so this is all about integrating the shadow qualities of the blessings of having Jupiter exalted here. This is about ways that you can really work with your also receiving support from the spiritual realm, because because Jupiter does rule your 12th house, Jupiter rules your 3rd house. This is a great time to think about and really infuse your subconscious beliefs. Think about the dreams that you have and the mindset that you have. What are the thoughts that you say? What are some things that you can study about spirituality, higher spirituality and books? And what are some ways that you can change the way that you speak to yourself? This is an opportunity when you're taking baths or you're taking, when you're going to sleep, listening to hypnosis meditations at home around prosperity, really learning to integrate with prosperity in your body. What are some things that you really want to achieve? What are some personal goals, abundance that you're interested in, that you may have been resisting? This is a time where you can integrate with that energy and think about how you can provide more support. You can also maybe get some support from people from foreign cultures, from different parts of the world. Traveling can be a really great way to kind of connect with this ability and find different ways to feel at home. Travel to places of water, places where you feel at home in a new place that inspires you, that gives you sort of that creative thing, helps you to develop a growth mindset. So the great way to work with this energy for the first half of the year. And then when Jupiter goes into your 8th house, this is very much about the, because Jupiter started off in your 7th house of other people, anyone that's not you, but clients, spouses, and stuff, bringing sort of that energy into the 8th house. And it's also about with Jupiter ruling your 12th house, people that are far away, people that spiritual support, maybe siblings, friends, people that you talk to on a daily basis. What are some resources that they have that they can help you with to bring in more prosperity in your life, whether it's finances, whatever you find to be prosperous. This can be health, this can be something creative, something that you love to do. Maybe you do art with these people that can be very healing. This can be a great time to do art healing therapy as well. Doing something that's spiritual, something that's healing, that really changes and shifts your mindset through the support of others, through your creative beliefs. Think about infusing creativity in how you think about like creative ways to develop your self-beliefs, your growth mindset. This can also be a great time to look at some trauma healing resources from teachers and people that inspire you in order to shift the way that you think and change the mindset that you have. And this can also, in turn, bring you in more self-made wealth, help you to bring in passive streams of income that's more automated in nature, especially if you're someone who works from home. And you're going to have Uranus ingressing into Gemini at the end of April in your sixth house of your daily routines. So this is where it's a great time for you to regulate your nervous system. This is a great time to make some shifts in your daily routine, in your daily habit. Something that can really help you might be really connecting with daily routines where you're working with your interest-based nervous system and maybe coming up with routines where you have like two different things that you can do so that you keep yourself interested, especially if you're having a hard time maintaining your routines. Have like a low level and an optimal daily level routine, and give yourself permission to switch up your daily routines. If you're trying to get something done, if you're trying to be productive, do it in your local community, work with other people, ways where you can find connections. Surround yourself in an environment where your nervous system feels regulated. Be mindful, especially in your work environment, but also your daily habits, your daily routines, just especially with your friends and the people that you talk to. Really observe who is really calming and supporting your nervous system, who is sort of not supporting you, because Uranus rules your second house of things that support you and your physical body. And it rules your friends. Gemini also rules your friends too. So think about who are the people that are supporting you and really take the time to harness those relationships. The friendships that don't necessarily serve you, they might come to an end. If that's the case, let it. This is happening in the faded part of your chart. This is going to allow you new opportunities to bring in friends and be open to friendships with people who are more open-minded, diverse, eclectic, collaborative, inclusive, revolutionary. They're the rebels. These are people who help you to think in different ways, who really challenge you and expand your mindset. These are people that can really very much support you and make a lot of shifts in your life in regards to your work environment, in your nervous system, in your daily communication. This can also help you to heal your any early childhood experiences that may have affected your health. This is also a great time to regulate your nervous system, to read books and maybe join online organizations in order to help you with your self-made wealth. This is a great way to use this energy. And then we've been having Pluto in Aquarius for a while, and this is happening in your second house. It's gonna be retrograding in the springtime, but you can still work with this energy, and so that by the time retrograde hits, you'll be able to kind of get the benefits of this. Pluto rules your 11th house of your increased financial gains, your friends. So there's already sort of this theme going on here. So this is about Scorpio is about the magnetizing resources from others. It's scorpionic and psychological in nature. They're strategic people. They are healers. These are people who can be very emotionally resilient. And these are the type of people that can show up into your life that really support you, where they share their resources. These friends, they come to you, and you can use this energy to heal things related to your second house, strengthen your core values, strengthen your sense of self-esteem, any area of your second house where you may have struggled, whether it's with friendships, increasing your financial gains, issues with your nervous system. These are areas where taking finding friends that are strategic, going into very private online psychological support groups, maybe attending psychological workshops online, specifically around regulating your nervous system, or taking courses on the psychology of money, reading the book, The Psychology of Money, but also just some sort of psychological things related to your wealth. because your 11th house and your 12th house are about money. These are things that you can do to really take advantage of Pluto in your 12th house, where you, I'm sorry, Pluto in your second house, where you transform your nervous system and how it's currently wired to how you're managing your resources, how you are increasing your financial gains, so that you can create a vessel where you're able to hold more space. Remember, Jupiter is also ingressing into your 8th house for the second half of the year, which is about abundance coming from other people as well. But it's also, Jupiter rules your 3rd house of your self-made wealth. So this is a great time to really think about the financial transformation that can take place in your life during 2026. And now we're going to be moving into the air signs, starting off with Gemini. Now, for Geminis, you're going to be starting off with having Jupiter in your second house, and it's still going to be exalted here. And then for the second half of the year, it's going to be in your 3rd house of Leo. And so while Jupiter is still in your second house here, you're going to continue to take advantage of this energy. Jupiter rules your 7th house. It rules your 10th house. So this is very vocational, collaborations, support from other people happening in your second house. So this is about putting yourself in the spotlight, working. This is a great time to work with the shadow qualities of what are some Sagittarian qualities in your 7th house that's important for you to integrate with. Sagittarius is a growth mindset. It's about your personal goals. It's about seeing things from a higher perspective. It's really optimistic and generous. Gemini can sometimes be a moody sign. It does depend on so many other things in your chart, your moon, your chart ruler, the condition, the aspect, whether it is directional strength or not. But Sagittarius is a lot more optimistic. So are there things related to being optimistic and having a growth mindset that's really important for you to really integrate with? This is the time where you can focus on bringing that in and doing it in a way that supports you, because Jupiter is in your second house, things that support you in your physical body, in Cancer. So this can also be like some family healing going on as well, but also working on these shadow qualities at home to be something that helps you. And this can also help you in your professional career as well. This is your second house is about how you make money. Jupiter rules your 10th house of your professional success, your career, how you show up in the world, your public reputation. So during this time, think about what are some things that can support you? What are some things that you can study? Some things where you can really beef up your higher education, things that can, investing on these things can really help you as well in elevating your business, specifically around healing family stuff, healing things related to money, and showing up in a way that is really spiritual and resonant to who you are. And then for the second half of the year, Jupiter is going to be going into your 3rd house. And this is going to be, this is a beautiful combination where your 3rd house is about when you're learning something new. They call it, I don't like the idea of referring to it as like your lower mind, but it's about the things that you learn with. It's more about your narrative of what you think about on a daily basis, what you read, what you learn and study about, what you say to yourself, the things that you enjoy learning. And then you have a Jupiter, which rules, which is about your higher mind. And so it's about infusing this growth mindset, this ability to see things from your higher mind, where there is more wisdom in an instinctive sort of a way that is primal, but also wise and action oriented, taking place in your 3rd house. So you can start to Basically, think of it like a mental upgrade, a third house upgrade, of developing, expanding your growth mindset, of really developing this optimism and stuff, and use the energy of creativity because you do have Leo in your third house in order to really blend with this energy. And you want to basically shift your mindset and rewire yourself. This is also a great time to do things that also work with your mind, with your spine. So maybe when you are listening to something and you are learning, Leo is about learning, it's about teaching, you're talking to yourself. Maybe do some stretches. And you can do this at home or do something where you are when you're in movement, you make more connections between your left and your right brain hemisphere. So this can be a great opportunity and a great way for you to infuse this higher knowledge stuff into your spine, into your nervous system, into really shifting your narrative, your daily thinking, the things that you say. And you can also use your words as well. And especially if you're doing stretches, doing this at home, so you're not necessarily in like a group environment. So you can say things that are really inspiring and creative. So you were speaking it, you were hearing it, you were moving your body, really connecting with your five senses to really integrate with this energy can be really beneficial. And see here. In April, Pluto is going to be retrograding in your ninth house, Aquarius, but we've been working with this energy for a while. We have it going on right now. So this is the time where Pluto is going to be trining your ascendant. And so this is where you're being mindful about your daily routines, being strategic, doing heavy metal detoxes, cleanses. This can also be good for anyone who has any, for women who have like period pains and stuff, like working on your reproductive organs and reflecting on what are the things that you are doing in your daily routine. You enjoy it? Does it bring you pleasure? Does it bring you desire? Look at your daily routines, and if you're doing things that aren't necessarily as enjoyable, think about, and not even just that, but like how can you make your routines more enjoyable? Scorpio rules sex, it rules pleasure. Find ways to incorporate more pleasure into your daily routines and infuse that with your daily goals, or I'm sorry, your personal goals, because Pluto is in your ninth house. And this could be a time where you can join online communities, work with mentors, coaches, astrologers, or an online community where you have this sense of accountability, where it's a group environment, but it's still kind of private, really psychological, and you can really infuse your daily routines with your personal goals in order to achieve the things that you desire by seeing things from a higher perspective, using the support of an online community in order to achieve the things that you desire. And you also have another great aspect going on where Saturn and Neptune are in your 11th house, Aries. So this is sextiling your ascendant. This is going to be going on at the beginning of the year, and you'll be experiencing this continuously. And this is going to be a great time where 11th house is about your increased financial gains, the legacies that you want to leave behind. It's the resources and the benefit that you get from your 10th house of being in the spotlight, your professional success. And you have fast moving areas here, which is great and stuff. But with Saturn and Neptune here, it's going to slow down the energy compared to when you don't have these placements here. But this is where, when it comes to increasing your financial gains and joining online communities, you want to be a little bit more discerning, be more selective. Like there is a mixture of Neptune here is very open, it's very inclusive, but Saturn is discerning. So you want to work with a combination of the energy. So think of surrounding yourself with friends, joining online communities when you're in certain environments where you want to increase your financial gains. Surround yourself with people an environment maybe with entrepreneurs, people who are action oriented, but people who are older, people who are accountable, people who are strategic, people who are wise and successful. They have established reputation. They're also very spiritual. These are people that you can meet and collaborate with online and maybe do some online collaborations with. And these are people who know how to automate things, who know how to do things in a way where it's minimum effort, maximum results. So the actions that you take are intentional, they're strategic, and they generate results because you are doing things correctly and intuitively. So this is a really great way to use this energy. And of course, you're also going to have Uranus on your ascendant. This is going to be in the end of April. And so this is where you're going to experience shifts. Now, Uranus is a chaotic planet, Gemini is a chaotic planet, so they sort of play well together. And this is taking place in your ascendant, which is about your physical body. Both of these things, Uranus and Gemini, are about your nervous system. This is a great time to really regulate your nervous system. And you can do this in online groups and stuff, maybe even a local community where are doing things with friends. Something that you can do is maybe gather a bunch of your friends and ask them if they want to get together and you guys all do some nervous system regulating exercises for free on YouTube. I can't remember the transit that I had or what was going on, but I think there was something going on where maybe it was a retrograde, but it was a time where I decided I want to get back into regulating my nervous system. And I was staying at a hospital at the time, and I invited these other women to join me in doing this activity together. This is a great way to use the energy of other people. It's also a great time if you have an opportunity to travel, but this is also a great time where there can be teachers and mentors that come to you, that support you and stuff. So sort of keep an eye out on that. This can also be like people who are very scientific minded, people who are friendly, um, very open minded and eclectic people coming into your life to really support you. And for the next sign, Libra, you're going to have Jupiter in your 10th house for the first half of the month. And then for the second half of the month, it's going to be in your 11th house, Leo. And so with Jupiter in your 10th house, this is an exalted placement in your 10th house of your professional success, your abundance. And Jupiter it rules your third house. And so this is very much think about what you like to read, what you like to talk about, what you think. Share these thoughts publicly in your profession and stuff. You you'll have to look at your full chart, but generally speaking, with this sort of a placement, you have access to having a growth mindset, seeing things in an optimistic way. There's this desire to want to learn things. And so bring sort of that energy and that knowledge into your 10th house when you're in the spotlight. This can bring in prosperity, abundance. And this can also very much really be fruitful for your job because Jupiter does also rule your 6th house of your work. And so these are great things to focus on. Also, focusing on healing when it comes to family related matters. If there are things, especially if you have a challenged Jupiter, if you have a challenged Jupiter, this is a great time to really, or a moon, this is a great time to do some family energy healing stuff going on, water therapy, float therapy, family constellation, healing. If you have any difficult or challenging relationship around the idea of becoming successful, becoming a leader, this can be a time where you can study these things. And it could be tied to your family. So maybe focusing on studying things related to um, success and the influences that your family has had on you in order to really shift this energy to bring in more of this abundance. And let's see here. You also have, actually, let me just, so for the second half of the year, Jupiter is going to be going into your, Jupiter is going to be going into your 11th house, where you have a Leo here. And so this is going to be a time where you can focus on learning about the things that you enjoy, but doing it in a way that's creative, that's fun. Maybe this is an opportunity and a way for you to, because you had Jupiter in your 10th house of your professional success, and then Jupiter is now going into your 11th house of your increased financial gains. This can be a time where an opportunity and a way for you to increase your financial gains is through teaching, through using your words, through marketing, and doing it in a way that's creative, fun, and inspiring. Doing this online. This can be something using creativity, using art that can really bring sort of this prosperity taking place for you. And this is just a great time to also work with your like about the connection that you have with your friends, the people that you speak to on a regular basis. And really, this is an opportunity where you can have more of those amazing connections and stuff, but also this is the time where you can actually have more friends that show up in your life. Maybe they are foreigners, they're spiritual, they're teachers, they're coaches that show up in your life, and they really inspire you. They boost your confidence. These are the people that can be very healing for you. And even if it's not in a direct way, they can influence you to increase your financial gains. And in the end of April, you're going to have Uranus in your ninth house in Gemini, which is going to really transform this area of your life and sort of shake things up. This is about your personal goals. So something that I do recommend is really think about when Uranus goes into Gemini, or even before that, but like once Uranus does go into Gemini, think about what your personal goals are. Think about how you can innovate them. How can you make it more fun? How can you make it more creative? Because Uranus rules your fifth house. And maybe find an online community, a group of friends that are spiritual, where you guys can come together and build and create an ecosystem where everyone shares what their personal goals are, and you guys all find ways to support each other. And this is a great way to use this energy. And really, I would also recommend finding ways to regulate your nervous system. This can be a great time to do some group online dance somatic nervous system regulating sort of a thing. This could also be doing some sort of energy healing, doing some sort of mindset work, because Aquarius and Gemini are air signs. This can be even theta healing as well, something of that nature to work on. This is a great time to regulate your nervous system through creative physical activities that engage your body, but also in a way that incorporates your mindset as well. What you say, what you think, the narratives that you're saying, and using things like solfeggio frequencies to support you. And that I kind of already tied in Pluto in your fifth house Aquarius when I talked about this, but during the retrograde, this is also a great time to kind of lock that in on a deeper level. And then the last air sign is Aquarius. Now, at the beginning of the year, you guys are going to have Jupiter exalted in your sixth house. And then it's going to be moving into your seventh house, Leo. And so with having Jupiter in your sixth house here, this is about your health. And Cancer is about your body. It's about your digestion. Jupiter is about your liver. I recommend doing some digestive cleanses, liver cleanses. This can also be very healing for your body, not just physically, but spiritually as well. And this is a time where it's a little indirect, but working on these things can also help you when it comes to your money mindset, because Jupiter does rule your second house of money. This is a great time to do float therapy. This is a great time to maybe do foot massages and working on your growth mindset, your self-beliefs. It doesn't have to be float therapy, but like when you can go to the ocean. This can be when you're taking a bath and having some sort of a ritual during these times, praying, setting intentions. These are things that can really support you. But this is a time where it's also great for you to infuse this sense of prosperity in a very Cancerian way, which is about emotionally, psychologically, physically. Think about your daily routines. What are you doing to nourish yourself with the foods that you eat in your work environment? Maybe have put some prosperity, abundance quotes, have books that really inspire these things that are very that have like an that are emotionally inspiring for you as well. You can have photos of family and stuff, especially like physically higher. Jupiter is about higher planes. Doing family healing stuff can be really beneficial as well. And creating a work environment that infuses these Jupiter things. This could also be like religious, spiritual paraphernalias and things that inspire you in your work environment. And this is something you can get started on right now because we still have Jupiter in Cancer. And then in the second half of the year, when Jupiter goes into Leo, this is the time to really give yourself permission to express yourself, to develop a growth mindset, to take action, to be inspired, to be creative. Being an Aquarius rising, you're ruled by Saturn that kind of wants to hide, is very much more about the collective energy, and Leo is about putting yourself in the spotlight. So this is something that you might kind of have like distanced yourself from, but this is a time when Jupiter goes into Leo to kind of engage with this energy a little bit more and think about like what are the qualities that you want to integrate with that are Jupiter and Leo in nature. This is teaching, this is inspiration and stuff. Surrounding yourself with people like this. If you have a client-based business partners, working with people who are very Jupiter and Leo in nature, people from a foreign background who are spiritual, highly educated, teachers that are creative, can very much help you. And this can also help to increase your financial gains as well, because Jupiter rules your 11th house of your increased financial gains. Working with your online and working with an online community can also help you with this. And let's see here. Pluto and Uranus. So at the beginning, at the end of February, Saturn and Neptune are going to be going into your third house, Aries. The third house is about your self-made wealth. It's about what you think about, what you speak about, what you learn, your narrative, things of that nature. But I'm inclined to focus more on this being related to your self-made wealth because you do have Aries here, which is it rules entrepreneurs. And so this is a great time to basically kind of shift these areas of your life where you might have been really impulsive Because Saturn and Neptune are encouraging you to slow down. They're slower planets. Saturn is going to invite you to really reflect before you start taking action. And Neptune can help you to use your intuition, see things from a spiritual perspective, look at the wiser way of doing things. Neptune rules Pisces. It's about it rules, it embodies all of the zodiac signs. So really think about what action is going to be the most fulfilling, what's going to most serve you. What are ways that you can do things in a way in your communication, in the way that you market, in the way that you're trying to generate self-made wealth, in the way that you talk to people? How can you be more strategic? How can you take action in a way that is really going to be more beneficial for you? So, because usually where Aries is in your chart, this is an area where you can be really impulsive because you learn through experience. But and that's great. But Saturn and Neptune here can really give you the chance to slow down so that once the energy shifts and Saturn goes into Taurus, this is going to be a time where you can it has shaped you so that you're not just taking action just for the fuck of it. Like it's now you have like these corrective qualities that has shifted your mindset and has can really support you. And let's see here. You're gonna have Pluto. Yes, Pluto's in your first house, but let's see. Yeah, let's talk about Pluto in your first house because it is in your ascendant and it is going to be retrograding in May, but we can still use this energy right now. And with having Pluto in your ascendant in Aquarius, this is the time and opportunity to transform your physical body, to regulate your nervous system, to be more strategic and intentional in how you navigate your life. This can also be a way where the actions that you take can be motivated by um think about what actions do you want to take in order to be successful, because Pluto rules your 10th house of your success. Be strategic when you're starting to take action. Is this going to lead me to success? And cut out the things that aren't going to be successful for you. Use the support and energy of large groups of Aquarius, but be discerning with Pluto about where you get that support from so that it can actually transform you. This is a great time to process your traumas so that the actions that you take are going to lead to success and you get to really optimize the quality of your life. This can be taking online classes on psychology focused on success and wealth and professional success. This is a great way to use this energy. And Uranus is going to be in your fifth house, Gemini, at the end of April, right? That's at the end of April. And so this is a great time to this is trining your ascendant. So this can very much sort of shift things, and you have Pluto in your ascendant, in your physical body. Pluto's transforming Aquarius, which is your nervous system, and Uranus and Gemini, for different reasons, also roll your nervous system in your fifth house. So this is a great time to really regulate your nervous system through things that are fun, enjoyable. This can be using music, using drumming. Gemini rules the hands and using your hands. And also Gemini is a set of two. So doing things where you're able to use your hands as a way to regulate your nervous system through hand drumming can be a great way to sort of work with this energy. There's a lot of different ways that you can use this energy, but doing things that are creative is going to be something that very much supports you. And then we're going to be finishing off with the remaining water signs, starting with Cancer. So we're going to be talking about Jupiter being on your ascendant and for the first half of the year, and then it's going to be moving into your second house, Leo. So we're talking abundance coming to you in prosperity, and then coming to your all of that showing up in your money house, or just blessings showing up in your second house. So with Jupiter in your ascendant, this is very much about really working with your sixth and your ninth house, your sixth house of your daily routines, where Sagittarius is, and your ninth house of your personal goals. This is the time, think about what your personal goals are, what your daily routines are, and make sure that the daily routines that you're engaging in help you to achieve your personal goals. And do it in a way that feels good and safe for your body, because Cancer is about giving yourself patience, really understanding your inner your inner rhythm, your flow, what's going to work for you. And part of what's going to help with this is developing your self-belief, studying philosophy, using higher education, but engaging in the things that are enjoyable for you. And this can be also healing your physical body. This is a great time to do liver detox. Jupiter rules the liver. Doing family healing as well, especially family healing around your paternal family. In ancient astrology, the ninth house rules your father, which is ruled by Jupiter in your ascendant. So anything related to your father that you may have in your paternal lineage, that is, and anything family karmic related stuff that's Cancer that's taking place in your physical body, this is something that you can sort of move through past lives regression, meditation, using spirituality, connecting with your spirit guides. And then when Jupiter moves into Leo for the second half of the year, this is where it shifts from your physical body, experiencing things maybe in a more emotional way, into your second house that's more material, that's more physically oriented. It's about your money. It's about some of these more tangible sorts of things. And remember, Jupiter rules your sixth house of your daily environment, of your work and stuff. So there is sort of this kind of like earthy energy that's taking place. So there's a little bit of this shift. So once Jupiter goes into Leo, this is a time where you can think about what are some ways that you can work with Jupiter that's going to support you in a material, tangible sort of way, that's creative, that's inspiring, that's fun. What are some daily routines? What are some things that you can learn that's going to benefit you, that's going to strengthen your self-belief in yourself? What are some ways that you can create more prosperity when it comes to financial abundance through the work that you do? How you can make money through expressing yourself, through teaching, things of this nature. I'm not a financial astrologer, but like this can be something related to, I don't know why I want to say this. I want to say this and I kind of don't. Is Bitcoin is ruled by, or crypto is ruled by Leo, right? So I'm not saying that this is what you should be focusing on, but maybe something related to how you manage your resources in a Jupiterian way. Actually, I think a better way of looking at this is maybe traveling. This can be a great way to do this, or you can make money through traveling, through work. If there's a way that you can schedule this, this can be something that can very much support you. And there's going to be a lot of transformations and shifts going on for you, because Uranus is going to be going into your 12th house in Gemini in springtime. And so this is where there's going to be like this huge shift when it comes to your subconscious, your unconscious mind, the things that are hidden from you. It's going to really show up. And Gemini is very two-sided as well. So this is something where you might start to see more duality and hidden things kind of come up, especially things related to your early childhood, because Uranus does rule your eighth house where Pluto is there, and it's going to be retrograding in the springtime as well. And so there's sort of this connection that's going on. They're both closely tied to your nervous system, but this is to say that this is a time where you can heal and let go of traumas. And especially if you have traumas like, and you keep them like in your hand, your arms, your shoulders and stuff. This is a time where you can kind of let that go. You can kind of release some of that energy. Pluto is Kundalini, so using Kundalini can be a way for you to help to process your traumas as well. And in Kundalini, there's this exercise where you put your arms out straight, and this is a way to process any heart traumas. And so these are some things that maybe you can work on. Gemini rules your arms. And so this is a time where you can really reverse any like dysregulation or anything that's going on, or anything mental, subconscious, unconscious stuff that you acquire, that you inherited in your early childhood. This is the time where you can really let those things go. And so I do recommend really exploring those sorts of things. And you can also listen to meditation at night focused on these types of topics. And with Pluto being in your eighth house, Pluto rules your fifth house of fun, pleasure. So this is a great way to find your optimal nervous system flow through creative things and things that you enjoy. This could even be Tantra, Kundalini, I know that there's some stuff where they teach women how to manifest your desires through your orgasm. This can be using pleasure work. This could also, your fifth house and Scorpio rules these things, but Scorpio is also psychological. It's astrology. It's whatever you find interesting. This could even be those of you who are like really interested in serial killer documentaries and stuff like that. Like these are things that you can do and study these things to help you to process your trauma in a way that regulates your nervous system. I know someone who used to watch a lot of documentaries on serial killers. It was the only way she can go to sleep. And then the more she started healing, she shifted from needing to watch serial killer documentaries, which is something that people can be attached to, because if you're used to trauma when you're going to sleep, that's a familiar setting. But as she started healing, she found herself enjoying listening to stuff that was more spiritual in nature, life after death, looking at like the beauty of the world and spirituality. So there can be sort of like this shift that takes place, and kind of look at where you're at, what you find to be pleasurable, and see if there's a way that you can kind of like upgrade to the next level. Like it's always like we're always trying to heal, we're always trying to heal, we're always trying to heal, and think about what's your next level for you. This is something that you can explore while Pluto is in your eighth house of Aquarius. Moving on to the next water sign, this is Scorpio. Now, with Scorpio, you're going to be having Jupiter in your ninth house for the first half of the year, and then it's going to be moving into your 10th house of professional success. So, with Jupiter exalted in your ninth house, Cancer, this is trining your ascendant. This can be a time where you can travel. This can be, you can spend your money on traveling. This can be finding a place that you feel is home, traveling somewhere that feels physically good and safe for you in your physical body. This is where traveling can be very healing for family traumas, traveling somewhere related to water. And this can also be a way where you find more prosperity. Think about your personal goals, your what what are some things that you want to develop more of a growth mindset around? Like what are some areas that are fixed and stuff where you want to shift? Where do you feel your body physically tightening? And think about like while Jupiter is still in Cancer, what can you do to create more expansion? This can be something that works really well. And because we're talking about Scorpio rising, which is a sexual sign, this can even be like doing breast work. Cancer rules the breast. And I know like I've heard of like these classes and courses and stuff where they teach you how to do pleasure. And in order to open up your heart chakra, they teach you like these breast massage exercises. This is something that maybe you're interested in. I know it's not for everyone. Some people might be like, ew, I'm not for that. But I'm just sharing ideas that you might not hear anywhere else that can be really interesting. But this can also be, like I've mentioned, healing around family, learning to feel at home with your personal goals. And these are things that you can work on. Also, working with an astrologer, a coach, working with someone that helps you with your with what you want to materialize your ideals. And then for the second half of the year, when Jupiter progresses into Leo, this is where you can experience luck, fortune, and expansion when it comes to your professional success by putting yourself in the spotlight, by expressing yourself. Because Jupiter rules your fifth house, and it also rules your second house of things that support you. So Scorpio risings are really interesting. It does depend on your specific chart, but a lot of Scorpio risings, they want to be hidden. But your 10th house, you have Leo here, it's about putting yourself in the spotlight. And when it comes to self-expression, putting yourself in the spotlight, which is the fifth house, you have Pisces, which is very much about hiding. And so this is the time where you can get a lot of blessings, a lot of abundance by really working with this energy, putting yourself out there. You can experience some fortune, express things that are creative and unique to who you are, and you can find yourself experiencing more professional success. And let's see. And then for Scorpios, because I want to talk about the best things for you to look forward to, I'm going to be focusing on the retrogrades for you. Mercury is going to be the first Mercury retrograde is going to be at the end of February in your fifth house, Pisces. This is trining your ascendant. So this is about Mercury is about your daily routines and your fifth house of pleasure. Think about bringing more pleasure into your routines. And, Scorpios can kind of like rough things out a little bit. And with Aries in your sixth house of your routine too, it's like you can just kind of habitually, kind of power through things. But with Mercury retrograding in your fifth house, Pisces, think about how you can create more ease and flow in your daily routine that's pleasurable, that's creative. How can you bring more fun into your daily routine that's Piscean in nature, that's spiritual, that's creative? If you're interested in music and in art, this is a great time. But also thinking about how can you automate your daily routines in a way that's passive, that's fun, that can make things a little easier. These are some things that you might want to think about and just reincorporating spiritual practices, creative practices. These are going to be things that really support you. And it can in turn help you to increase your financial gains because Mercury rules your 11th house of your increased financial gains. So particularly if there's anything that you've done in the past that has helped you with this, where you've made money and increased your financial gains in fifth house Piscean ways, this is a good time to sort of redo that. And then in the summertime, Mercury is going to be retrograding in your 9th house, Cancer, just as Jupiter ingresses into your 10th house, Leo. So you've had this time to work with Jupiter being in Cancer for a while here. Sorry, there's like mosquitoes all around me. It's driving me insane. And going back to what I was saying, you've worked with Jupiter in your Cancer. So it's like Jupiter is expanding and enhancing that Cancerian energy. And then Mercury is going to be retrograding here. So you can think about these things a little bit more and sort of incorporate it in this in more of a different way. This is a great time for you to heal because Mercury rules your 8th house, and this is 12 houses away from where Mercury is going to be retrograding. So this is a great way to heal and let go of any traumas related to your family, your early childhood experiences, through talking with friends, through, I say this because Mercury rules your 11th house of friends, particularly with people who are practical, solution oriented, people who feel like family, that help you to see things from a higher perspective. This is a great way to, not just after you've had like Jupiter trining your ascendant, but now thinking about like how you can make this into your daily routine, how think about ways that this can shift your mindset. Really think about what have you learned with Jupiter being in your ninth house, Cancer. Write these things down, journal it out, talk about it, think about think about how has this shifted your mindset? What are the things that you are saying to yourself? Like, make it more consciously known. Like with Jupiter, it's something that's shifted with your higher mind, but Mercury is more cerebral. It's what you think about, what you talk about on a daily basis. So really think about what that looks like and really examine how it feels in your physical body. And it's also a great time to work on your health, specifically digestively. A there's a resin, a shilajit resin, which is a great way to do kind of like a parasite cleanse and really clear your digestion. That is a great thing to do during this retrograde. And so this is something that you can work on. And then at the end of the year, the end of October, Mercury is going to be retrograding in Scorpio, which is your ascendant. So again, this is also about your health, and it's specifically in your physical body. So this is a great time to really cleanse your body, do a heavy metal detox, really look at study things related to body traumas, things that can help you to heal. Think about the mindset that you have, the beliefs that you have. How does it influence the actions that you take? A great way to explore this is through this book called Healing Pluto Problems. They definitely recommend that you check out that book. And lastly, we're going to be talking about Pisces risings. And you're going to have Saturn and Neptune on your ascendant at the beginning of the year. And oh no, wait. Sorry, that's not true. That's in your second house at the beginning of the year. And these are things that support you and your physical body. And so this is also Saturn rules your 11th house of your increased financial gains, your friends. It rules your 12th house where you're going to have where you have Pluto here right now, and then Pluto's going to be retrograding in Aquarius here. This is also about your subconscious, your unconscious mind coming into your second house of things that support you and your physical body, along with Neptune, which rules your Pisces. So these are all showing that your friends, your increased financial gains, 12th house matters, healing, things to let go of. And these are, so you can make some changes and corrections as well when it comes to your subconscious, your unconscious mind. You can get support from the spiritual realm. These are things that are going to support you. And this can also slow down like the way that you spend your money, because having Aries in your second house, you may be very impulsive with spending money unless you have like Saturn here or something, or Saturn is conjuncting Mars, the ruler of your second house. But this is to say that really it's a way where you can make corrections in how you spend your money, how you share your resources so that you don't burn yourself out. So you can be more intentional. You can be more connected with your physical body and realize where you need to create boundaries in order to really support yourself. This is a great time to really work with that energy and get support from your friends, find ways to increase your financial gains. Look at what this looks like by receiving support from the spiritual realm and also really working on your personal goals, because your ninth house is ruled by Pluto, which is about your personal goals in your 12th house. So this is to say that this is the time where you can really transform your subconscious, your unconscious mind, your psychological detriment, so that you are able to achieve your personal goals and psychologically heal yourself in a way that really supports you and shifts your mindset. And I want to talk about Mercury retrograding in your fifth house, Cancer, in the summertime. This is going to be happening in your fifth house. It's going to be trining your ascendant. And this is the time to really think about what are some things that maybe you've been afraid of expressing because you've been really critical with yourself. I say this because you have Mercury ruling your seventh house, your shadow quality and stuff. So you may be holding back certain things. And this is the time to learn to get comfortable expressing yourself, learning to integrate these shadow qualities and doing it in a way that feels good in your physical body. Virgo can be a critical sign, but it's also very solution oriented. And with Mercury retrograding here in a trine, this is a great way to really be able to access the positive qualities of Virgo. And this is also, Mercury also rules your 12th house, and I'm sorry, your fourth house, which is 12 houses away from the retrograde. So what this can do is it can really help to heal you, to help to heal your emotional foundation. This can help to heal your family. Your fourth house is about your family. Cancer is about family. This is a great time to do some inner child healing as well. This is a great time to maybe do some water therapy, bath therapy at home. Some great ways to do this. Mercury rules Gemini, which rules toddlers. It's creative. Something that I used to like doing is I would get like these they're like these watercolor bathtub things where you put them in the water and they have different colors, but you can kind of like draw on the wall and stuff. This can be a great way for you to do that, to use art therapy, creative therapy in order to heal. And then there's a Mercury that's retrograding in your ninth house, Scorpio, at the end of October. And this is going to be trining your ascendant. And so this is a great time to do some trauma healing, not just with the things that you study, but also with the things that you read. I recommend a book called Healing Pluto Problems. It's a great book that helps with shadow qualities, and doing this during this retrograde, because it's happening in your ninth house, will allow you to see things from a higher perspective and think about it from a growth mindset. So it's not just like this doom and gloom kind of like perspective. And this is also a great time to do some heavy metal detox. I always recommend during Mercury retrogrades that people do things that go back to healing your physical body, whatever that may be, whatever that looks like for. So these are things that can be really good. It can also be a great time to read books from astrologers, coaches, reading things on psychology, things that really help you, specifically with family related stuff, specifically around relationships. If you have trauma around relationships, this is a great way to really be able to see things from a higher perspective. And that concludes the 2026 blueprint for the best things for you to look forward to.
Wow, Jaymie, you're a trooper. 3 hours, pretty much nonstop. Amazing. You did amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing with us such in-depth forecast for each of the 12 signs. You passed out through the Mercury retrogrades and so on. Thank you. And if anyone wants to connect with Jaymie, again, she has her offerings below in the description. You can check out how her consultations are, all life coaching. Yes. Thank you so much, Jaymie. Go and have a deserved rest now. And may you have a blessed
You too.
2026.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.